Well. Welcome back to ppsimmons Radio. My name is Mike Shoesmith. I wonder how many of you are aware that last week on May the 6th, it was World Asthma Day. Were you aware of this, Mr. Program? No, you weren't aware of this? It was May the 6th. It was World Asthma Day. Do you have asthma? You don't have asthma. No. I was diagnosed with asthma when I was a young fella. It was quite severe, in fact. Times I had quite a lot of difficulty breathing, and of course they prescribed the inhalers and the puffers, and I couldn't go anywhere without them. You were leashed to your puffers just in case you had an outbreak of asthma. And so, but it turned out that this was back in the early 70s when people weren't terribly concerned about the fact that both your parents were blowing smoke in your face all day long, and you'd drive down the road on vacation. You'd be in the station wagon, and the windows would be rolled up, and both your parents smoking, and you going down the road on your way to Disneyland, and you're in a car full of cigarette smoke, the station wagon full of cigarette smoke, and oh, it was a bad scene. It's amazing any of us lived through the 70s, honestly. Then when I left home, all the asthma cleared up, and now I don't need any inhalers or anything. I didn't have asthma. I had parents or stupiditis, I guess it was. I don't know what to say about it. But May the 6th was World Asthma Day. And many of you may remember that we had a guy on the show a couple of weeks ago, well, maybe closer to a month ago now. And he was talking to us about the amazing power of sound and sound waves, and the amazing power of sound and sound waves to both destroy and the power to heal. And he was a retired engineer. He did a lot of work for the military, by the way. Guy's way smarter than me. He did a lot of work for the military, and I've spoken to him a few times since, and he's a smart guy. And he's got now World Asthma Day. That is an annual event organized by the Global Initiative for Asthma, or GINA, to improve asthma awareness and care around the world. This is from the www.ginasthma, GINASTHMA.org. It's their World Asthma Day page. And what they're saying here is it was focused around the theme, you can control your asthma. And I was reading about that, and I got to thinking, when we had John Underwood on last time, he mentioned the power of sound waves to destroy and to heal. And in all of that discussion, he mentioned some great success that they were having with the technology for asthma relief. And I want to say cure. But they're not, that's a word that they're not willing to, that's a bridge too far for some of these people. I mean, I'm willing to go there with it because I've seen some of the testimonials. And I have to ask the question, has God already given us a cure for asthma, folks? And I thought, well, what a great time to bring John Underwood back on the show. Did we get John? John, are you there?
Yeah. Hi, Mike.
Hey, John. John, talk to us, man. Did you know? Now, the program producer here, he didn't know that May 6th was World Asthma Day, and I'm sure that many, many other people out there were completely unaware that May 6th was World Asthma Day. And you know why that's shocking, John? Because asthma is such a prevalent problem for people around the world. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, well, I actually was one of those who didn't know it was World Asthma Day either. It was my mother who told me the next day that they're talking all about asthma on the news.
Right. Wow. So, there you go.
And actually, it simply confirms what we've seen in our tests that it is a big problem, and it really does impact people's quality of life. And the testimonials that we have of those volunteers that we tried our product out on attest to the fact that their lives are completely changed. And those testimonials are on soundwavesfromheaven.com. And it's truly quite amazing to see what the sound therapy technology can do. And I must admit that I was probably one of the biggest skeptics.
Right. Wow.
And just seeing it for real was really heartwarming, quite honestly. And you have to see these people's stories to understand just how heartwarming it was. And what the broadcasts on World Asthma Day were really focusing on was the fact that it seems to be a growing problem. And they're pointing to things like bad air quality and the like. But there are numerous studies out there now from reputable universities and the like that have linked stress and anxiety to asthma, and even socio-economic status. Wow. It's stressful being poor, obviously.
Right. Sure.
So you tend to see asthma in groups of people that have experienced a lot of stress in their lives.
Okay.
And so that fits in with what we're doing. Our unit produces relaxing tones, and what we believe is happening is that you're getting at the anxiety and the stress through relaxation, and then in effect reducing or virtually eliminating asthma attacks.
Where did you get this idea for this? I mean, you say that you were a skeptic. Now when we had you on the show last time, you did not invent this technology, right?
No, this technology and all the tones that we use a series of tones in sequence. The frequencies for those tones were discovered back in the 1960s.
Right.
So this technology is very old. It's just not that well known. And with modern electronics, it's much easier now. Well, you can put it down to the size of a paperback book now, whereas in the 60s, this thing looked like an audio soundboard. You see, it was huge, but and
expensive, right?
And expensive.
These things cost upwards of tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and the unit that was really sort of the parent for our unit was $10,000, $10,500, I believe.
Wow. So the only people that could afford these were clinics, and you would go in and get your
millionaires,
or millionaires, and you would go in and get your therapy, right? And then so I want to hear what I know everybody else wants to hear. Give us an example. Now, I've used the word cure. Of course, I'm just a layman, John. You're an inventor. You're an engineer. You need to deal in absolutes. I get that. Now, I'm just a layman. I'm just a guy with a microphone here. I use the word cure. Are people being cured of asthma with this technology?
Well, what we're finding is that after treatments, and incidentally, our volunteers had 4 treatments over a period of a month. They had one a week.
Right.
That was back in January 2013. The benefits of those treatments lasted for many months.
Okay.
And I believe it was only around September when you saw it start to wear off a bit, but not completely even. So I guess we're still actually learning about this technology in that if the treatments were continued on a regular basis, we really don't know if they would have any asthma attacks. We just
okay.
And because, well, even though it's been around since the 60s, there's not a lot of data.
Right. Sure.
So I suspect that just over the coming years we'll learn a lot more about this, and there's a lot of research going on looking for the link between asthma and stress. In fact, we feel that with the treatments that you have nowadays, the puffers primarily, that you're actually treating the symptom and not the cause.
Sure.
And so if we can actually attack the cause of the asthma, that'd be a much better approach.
What are they inhaling? They're inhaling drugs, are they not?
Yeah, steroids, I think, is what
steroids.
They are.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
the actual names of them. There's actually two types. I know that one of our volunteers had two puffers of two different types of drugs.
Right.
Not quite sure what they are, but actually, I think she mentioned them in the testimonial.
And these are testimonials that can be found on your website?
On soundwavesfromheaven.com. Yes.
Soundwavesfromheaven.com. There are video testimonials of people who, I mean, I'm throwing the word cure out there, but these people what are they doing? Are they ditching their puffers altogether?
No, we don't. We're not looking to replace the puffer. We certainly are not suggesting that. We see this technology as an adjunct, as an addition to what they already use. But what they're finding is that they're using them so infrequently that they sometimes have trouble locating them, and they sort of lose the puffer somewhere. Where did I last put it, sort of thing. To give you an example of one of our volunteers, and I remember when we put out a little ad looking for volunteers who had asthma, and he phones up, and I happened to answer the phone on that occasion. And he was 23. You could just hear the labor in his breathing. He could barely request to be on the program.
Right.
He was breathing so hard.
Wow.
This guy went through. He would use 8 times a day, which apparently is way more than you should.
Yeah.
And he would end up in the ER, in the emergency room, because his puffer ran out.
Okay.
Since they only give you prescriptions at a particular rate.
Oh, right.
So
sure.
he was running out before his new prescription was
sure.
available.
Right.
And so his only recourse was to go to the emergency room and have them fill it.
Okay.
But now he is doing weight training. He's doing, and you have to see his testimonial to see what he's doing now. But
that's amazing.
He is exercising. He's doing all sorts of things that he never did before. And his puffer use, he still does need his puffer in extreme cases. Up here in Canada, for example, in the winter it can get pretty cold, so the cold can cause him to need his puffer. If he goes out into the cold air, he can be gasping for breath briefly until he gets his puffer use.
Now, how often is he doing the sound wave technology treatments? How often is he doing those now?
Well, to be quite honest, we haven't really kept that much in touch with him since since the test.
You can't keep up with him now. He's out running around. You can't keep up with him anymore.
Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, when did I see him? Maybe a month ago. And he uses the unit. Actually, he was one of the people who said he found it most relaxing.
Right. Sure. Yeah. We got to get some. We got to get some research on the ability just to de-stress. I mean, I'd pay twice what it's worth if I could just de-stress once in a while. My goodness.
Yeah, and even when we're treating people, we've used this device on people. One of the most frequent comments we get is that just how relaxing it is, and in some cases, people even fall asleep while they're using the unit.
On World Asthma Day, John, 2010, Gina initiated the Asthma Control Challenge. The project encourages healthcare providers worldwide to cut asthma-related hospitalizations in half over 5 years by improving asthma control. They need to come knocking on your door, man.
Actually, we'll go knocking on their door very soon. Actually, this radio broadcast is helping us promote that. The fact that this technology is so effective on asthma.
Well, we're glad to have you on, and you agreed last time that you would be our expert in these matters, and last week it was World Asthma Day, so it was a great opportunity to get you on. I'm fascinated by all this technology. PP Simmons fans will know that when I discovered that you could manipulate metal objects using sound waves, I thought there's more to this than people realize. And there's also more to asthma than people realize. You got some shocking numbers for us. You remember when Barack Obama was giving his speech promoting his healthcare agenda, and I guess the teleprompter must have given out on him, and he had a terrible time explaining the connections to why people need to, embrace Obamacare. And we're not going to get into that right now, but he used as the example that popped into his head without the teleprompter. He made a terrible display of it, by the way, and everybody gets a good laugh at it. Well, here it is, but let's just give it a listen.
Everybody knows that it makes no sense that you send a kid to the emergency room for a treatable illness like asthma. They end up taking up a hospital bed. It costs you gave them treatment early, and they got some treatment and a breathalyzer or an inhalator, not a breathalyzer. I haven't had much sleep in the last 48 hours, so.
Okay, so you hear that, and he did give, it was a terrible, terrible day for him. He admits that he was tired, he didn't get much sleep, and he really messed up the speech. But listen, the takeaway for us on this regard with that speech that Obama gave was that of all the illnesses he could have chosen from, he picked asthma. Right? I mean, that's the one thing that popped into his head was asthma. And I just think, what do we not know about asthma? How severe is it, John?
It's very severe. I have numbers for Canada, but I'm sure that proportionally it's very similar in the States. And Obama's use of asthma suggests that it is a big problem down there as well. But apparently in Canada, it's 1 in 5 boys get asthma. And that's 20% of the population. That's huge.
Sure.
And in terms of admissions to the emergency room, it's the number one reason that people end up there.
Asthma is the number one reason people end up in emergency rooms.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Panic. Yeah,
most people do not know that. And so they're panicking, and this lack of this increase in stress is bringing on an asthma attack.
Yes. Yeah. And let's face it, I think life is a lot more stressful today.
Sure.
Which is quite possibly the reason we're seeing a rising incidence of asthma. And it's getting to younger and younger children too. We had a death here not so long back in Canada. I think it was a 10-year-old boy died in the playground because his puffer was in the principal's office.
Wow.
And quite honestly, if we can help with the asthma for young kids, I would really find that
rewarding.
Really
sure.
rewarding,
yeah.
really rewarding.
Well, talk to me about the baby that you didn't you mention something to me about a baby that?
Well, yeah. Apparently, babies are being born, I guess, with asthma.
With asthma, being born with asthma.
And one of the problems they've got, from what I understand, is that knowing what dosage of these drugs to give them.
Yeah, drugs to little babies.
Well, since that's the standard treatment for asthma really is
right.
using these puffers.
Using drugs, right.
But I guess with, and I'm this is conjecture, but I imagine with different baby weights, since drugs are often have to be given and you have to take into account the weight of the person, with a large variation that you get in newborns and things, it would be difficult to set a standard dosage.
Right. So they're diagnosing on the fly here then.
Yeah.
Tell me, John. Now the numbers here. I think one of the things that shocked me the most in our last interview was the financial cost here, because you brought this. Now you did not invent the technology, but you invented a machine that dramatically reduced the cost to people in general, right?
Yeah. Yes. And the machine is as we mentioned earlier, the old machine was around 10,000.
Right.
Our machine is just under $500.
Right.
And that's possible simply because of modern electronics.
And you know what else has been made possible by you coming on the show and getting the word out about this. I mean, this is a brand new endeavor for you. We actually had you on the very first time to talk about your invention because the Bible talks about how God is in favor of the inventive mind and that he gives knowledge of witty inventions. And so we had you on for this invention. And I've just been captivated by this whole thing, John. And I'm excited to have you on here. But the invention now people are able to get a hold of you through soundwavesfromheaven.com, and people have been reaching out to you since the interview because they're asking you questions about other diseases as well, and yes. what benefit there could be for what else are they asking you about?
Well, we get, as you just said, we've been getting requests on all sorts of things, and what I should probably say at this point is that Sound Waves from Heaven, what we plan for that side is to start to investigate its effect on other conditions. Right. It's all in the early stages right now, but sure. I think we will be. We may even try to raise funding and things like that for tests. So, because the one thing about testing is it's fairly expensive to do.
Right. But now that you brought this technology down to an affordable level here, yeah. People will be able to. We are going to hear testimonies from people who have given up their drugs altogether. I don't just mean the asthma. I mean the drugs that help people sleep.
What about antidepressants?
Sleeping pills. You know, because this is a relaxation therapy, in addition to therapy to assist, or as Gina says here, the Global Initiative for Asthma, they are looking at improving asthma control, which this machine does, right?
Yes. And one interesting lead that came from that last interview, was a veteran who has PTSD. Right. And we have started a trial with him to see if, in fact, it can help with that. Because he did say that, well, in emails that I've received from him, he does get some benefit from relaxing music. And certain types of music. So
right.
That suggests to us that there's a possibility, a fairly good possibility, that we may be able to do something for that too.
Wow.
And people should keep in touch or with Sound Waves from Heaven, because we will be discussing our results on there at some point in the future, in the near future, I hope, in fact.
Yeah, because we hope to be the source that you come to break any news on that front.
Yeah,
because
and yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
because there is now a move now. There's an awareness movement out there now on PTS. You know, President George Bush, the former president of the United States, he refuses to call it a disorder, John. He says it's not PTSD because this is not a disorder. This is an injury, a war injury, and injuries can be cured.
Yes.
So even the former president is saying, look, there's a cure out there for post-traumatic stress. And we're just saying, hey, you know what? Maybe this is what we're talking about right here.
Absolutely.
John Underwood, everybody. My name is Mike Shoesmith. John, we got to have you back on again very soon. Are you up for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, John Underwood, everybody. Soundwavesfromheaven.com. My name is Mike Shoesmith. We'll see you next time.